Hey, it's Donny A. So the best way for you to get better at soloing is to start outlining the chord progression with chord tones. What we're going to talk about today is taking one chord. We're just going to take the C chord and we're going to start outlining the 1, the 3, and the 5 because those are the intervals that make up a chord. So grab your guitar and let's dive right into this. We're going to get this loop going. I'm going to put a little overdrive on. That C major scale is the same as your A minor pentatonic scale. So we're using the pentatonic scale. And it's the 5-8, 5-7, 5-7, 5-7, 5-8, 5-8. And then we're going to use that little extension on the G, B, and high E string into form 2 as well. So that would be 7-9, 8-10, 8-10. So that's all you need. And I'll give you an example of what this is going to sound like if you start focusing on your chord tones here first. We need to go over where's the 1s, where's the 3s, and where's the 5s. This is something you need to start ingraining into your thought process when you look at scales, is where are your chord tones, right? And no matter what key you're in, no matter what chord you're playing, they're always in the same spot. The intervals are always the same distance apart. They're in the same spot within these scale shapes. So if you know where your 1 is, your 3 is always going to be in the same spot relative to your 1. Your 5 is always going to be in the same spot relative to your 1, and so on. So the first thing, if you look at this scale, we have on the 8th fret of the low E string, we have a C. So that's your 1. Then we have another 1 here on our G string at the 5th fret. Then we have another 1 at the 8th fret of our high E string. So those are your 1s. Then you need to know where your 3s are. You have a 3 right here on your A string at the 7th fret. You have a 3 on your B string at the 5th fret. And then you have a 3 on your 9th fret of your G string. So there you have your 3s, and then your 5s. So your 5s are always right above your 1, which is a helpful tip to know. So you have a 5 right here on your D string at the 5th fret. You have a 5 on the B string at the 8th fret. So we're going to use those to our advantage. So first off, we're going to start with outlining the 1. So the 1 is home, right? That's going to sound the best when you go back to the 1. It's going to resolve the best. So if you don't know anything else, you don't know where your 3s are, your 5s are, and you know where your 1 are, or your 1 is, then you're in business. You can use that to your advantage. You can just focus on your 1. So you do a little lick around it and focus on going back to your 1. And you can start on your 1, you can end on your 1. If you end on your 1, it's gonna have the biggest impact because that's where your idea ends and that's where it resolves to. I'm here to help you get better at guitar. So if you're a guitar player that wants to get better, please hit subscribe. And then if we're going to go to the 3, so the 3 provides the chord's function. So it decides if it's major or minor. So 3s are super important and they are great for creating melodies. So if you really focus on finding your 3 all the time and going between your 1, 2 as a passing tone back to your 3, you can create some great melodies that way. So we're going to focus on our 3. But our 3, it is going to resolve because it's a chord tone, but it's not going to have as much resolution as going back to your 1. So there is still going to be some slight tension there, and the tension is just going to be that it wants to go back to the 1. It's not going to be, major tension like if you're playing a 2 or a 4 or a 6, right? But it is going to, just want to resolve back to that 1. But you can create some cool ideas by holding on your 3 for a couple bars and then going back to your 1 for like the full resolve. So I'll show you what I mean here. So you can hear that 3, it sounds good and everything, but it does want to go back to the 1 still. And that's what's cool about this. And I'll show you later in this video how you can really create melodies between your 1 and your 3 by going between them at the end of this video. So stick around for that. But I wanted to jump to the 5 to just keep this moving. And the 5 is another chord tone. It's a great chord tone, but it is farther away from your 1. So that distance from your 1, your 5, I mean, in blues, your 5 is used for a turnaround because your 5 really, really wants to resolve back to the 1. So that creates even more tension. So the 3 creates slight tension when you hold on that. But if you go and you hold on a 5 and you keep landing on a 5 and resolving there, it's really going to want to resolve back to the 1. So you can create some great ideas by, landing on your 5 and holding on your 5 and using that to pull back to the 1 and do a full resolve and create some tension. That 5, it wants to go back to the 1, so I'll show you what I mean with how it wants to pull back, right? So I'm going to play it, and then I'm going to end up resolving to the 1, so you can really hear how it resolves back. So after a couple bars, I went back to the 1, and it sounds more pleasant. It sounds like you're back home and everything. But you can use all of these to your advantage, and you can play through all of them and focus on them. And you can hold it on a 5 as long as you want. You can hold it on a 3, and it's going to sound good. It's going to work. So you definitely want to use these to help start creating melodies and work them into your solos. You just really need to understand where they are within your scale shapes. And if you just start focusing on this form 1, that form 2 extension is good because it gives you some more options. But if you really start focusing on, okay, where are my intervals in relation to the 1, then you can really start figuring this out. And it's great to use it with just 1 chord, right? Because it's starting small. It's hard when you have, 4 chords and a chord progression and you're trying to transition between all of them at the same time. It can be difficult. So this is really helpful to start being like, okay, get my ear wrapped around. This is what it sounds like to resolve to the 1. This is what it sounds like to resolve to the 3 and the 5. And it's really going to help work this into your playing and work it into your ear so you start hearing it and figuring it out. And it's really good. And now I just want to talk about going from your 1 to your 3 and how you can create melodies with that. There's a ton of songs use this. A ton of great guitar players use this. They go from the 1 to the 3, and you can create a lot of melodies between that little walk because you have the 1, 2, 3. And it's really simple because on your G string you have, on your 5th fret you have a 1, then you have your 2 on the 7th fret, and then on the 9th fret you have a 3, right here. So you're just walking up the scale. But you can do a ton with just staying in that little area and focusing on making that little area your melody lines. What you should take out of this, really start focusing on these. It's going to make your soloing so much better. And it is difficult, right? This isn't something easy. It's going to take time. You got to work it out. You got to find these intervals. You're going to get lost as you play harder chord progressions, and that's fine. That's really the only way to get better, right? Is start finding them. Start mapping this out. Know where your ones are, know where your threes are, know where your fives are, and you're going to be sounding better. You're going to create better melodies than just playing a key-centered solo over a C major pentatonic and not, thinking about what notes you're hitting at all. Because that's where a lot of people get stuck, is they just learn the pentatonic scale, they play through it, they play the notes in it, but they're not really creating any ideas or doing anything, and it's because they're not following the chord tones of the chord progression. And as soon as you start outlining those chords and getting a little better at this, if you're playing a chord progression with 4 chords in it, just start with a 1 of each chord, right? And find those. And you can stay in the same pentatonic scale. And, when you get to your 4 chord, you can just add that 4 note in and just learn, your major scale is what your pentatonic scale is based off of. So all your notes are within that major scale. They're all right here for you. So I hope you have fun with this. If you enjoyed this lesson, please hit subscribe. I'll talk to you soon.